All right, I think I gave enough time for the latecomers to jump on the call today. For those of you that are not familiar with me, my name is Rob Valencius, and I am the National Agent Trainer today on your webinar. We're going to be going over certification season, which is kind of crazy to think that it is here already, and we are geared up and ready to go and starting to get our bearings straight for another crazy AEP. So a couple of housekeeping notes. This is in listen only mode. You do have a question box. Feel free to hit me with any questions that you have. I will do my best to try to get to it in a timely manner. And if I can't answer it, I'll get an answer for it. This is also being recorded. So if you have to hop off, feel free to do so. The system will actually automatically send you a link to the recording this time tomorrow. If you need it sooner, feel free to let us know. We can always send it over to you. So look, certifications. You're a Medicare broker. You know that this is the time of the year where, a business is a little bit more on the slow side. But, from a learning standpoint, we are always on the go. And, we have AHIP and the NABIP test launch, the third week of June. So it's only been, about a week, a little over a week removed of those coming out. And those are pretty much the main tests that you need in order to start to do the transfer and take all of the certifications for the carriers. If you're new to the business, AHIP has been kind of the staple kind of go to, and that's the one that everybody, including even the small regional carriers, accepted. And then NABIP, formerly NAHU, kind of came out of the woodwork and has slowly been getting a lot of traction and more carriers to jump on the bandwagon with them. There's still not as many as AHIP, so I do recommend sticking to the AHIP for now, just so that you don't run into any issues. You don't want to have to, because you do have to pay for NABIP, right? So you don't want to pay for NABIP and then have to pay for AHIP and take that test anyway because there's a specific carrier that you work with that doesn't accept them. So for today's webinar, I will talk a little bit about do's and don'ts, things like that. I want to show you all really the best place to go for any up-to-date certification news. So if you're not familiar with our website, it is pfsinsurance.com. And, if you don't use our website, let me jump into the chat here and send this out to everybody. If you do not have an account and you're with us, you do need to register, which is gets approved on our support staff side. So you will need to reach out to our support to make sure that it's approved. But in your dashboard, so you just go to dashboard login and you log in. In your dashboard, there is a section under the Medicare Toolkit. And the first one, it's certifications. This is the most important one for our webinar today. You're going to click on this. It's going to open up a little light window. And at the very top, you can reach out to our support staff to see what your status is. Give me 1 second. I'm running into an issue. Hold on 1 sec, everybody. Sorry about that. I apologize. So my laptop, without boring you with all the details, has 2 graphics cards, and sometimes they fight with each other, and then my screen starts to freak out. So we should be good. All right. So you'll notice if you do want to reach out to our support staff, you can reach out about any specific certification status that you may have. Also, if you are a user of our BOSS platform, our BOSS platform actually has the ready to sell status available. So you can actually click on your ready to sell and you can see all of the carriers past and present that you're ready to sell with. Remember, we're only as good as the reports we get from the carrier. So the system will only be updated as recently as the carrier's report that is sent over to us. So we are looking to make sure that that's done. As it comes in, it is ingested and you will see it. If you haven't done your AHIP yet, there is an AHIP discount available through Pinnacle. You're just going to click on this button here. And you'll know that you did it correctly because you will see Pinnacle Financial Services logo in the upper right. You'll go through the typical thing. You'll log in. It'll ask you about your current information, and then you will need to pay. The payment will show up on the right-hand side. You should see a $50 off coupon automatically applied. If you're new to the Medicare market, AHIP costs $175 every year. If you use our link or even one of the carrier links, it is a $50 discount down to $125. That has not changed. It is still the same cost. Under this, you will see we actually have a lot of the carriers that we work with listed here that are in the Medicare Advantage space. As we get information on these carriers, it is typically loaded in. For instance, if you click on AHIP, it'll tell you when it came out, have the link that we have, as well as any information. We do also offer a discount for NABIP. NABIP came out at the same time. NABIP is actually a lot cheaper than the AHIP. So the discount is a little less. If you click on our registration link, you do get a $10 discount, which should put it even more cheaper than the AHIP. So if you're okay with the carriers that NABIP cover, you're good. And then any other times on here that we get information for the carriers, we will post that here, right? So Humana's out on the 8th. Aetna's out already, so you will see some documents on how to log in, how to get certified. All of that is right here in your Medicare Toolkit dashboard when you log into the Pinnacle website. I also want to make sure that I bring this up so that you can take a screenshot of it. This is what we currently have for dates with some of the major carriers. Obviously, some of them launched last week, and some of them have been out for a little while. United Healthcare has been out technically since June 1st for their front runner program, and then the 8th. And no one really took it then because then you had to take the Medicare Basic. So if you're new to the world of Medicare, Aetna and United Healthcare are the two only carriers in this space that you do not need AHIP or anything else for. So you can actually take those and sell those without paying for AHIP. So United Healthcare and Aetna are great in your market. Sometimes it's good to save yourself some money, especially if you're new and you don't have any commissions coming in, to just carry those two carriers. But as you grow, you want to make sure that you have a plethora of carriers. And unfortunately, all the carriers are different. All their certifications are different. All the amount of times you can take their stuff is different. So yeah, it's a little shoddy there. For AHIP, let's bounce over. I'll bounce back to that if you didn't take a screenshot. So just kind of keep that in mind. So when we go into AHIP, let's talk a little bit about that. So I'm an agent. I've taken this every year since 2015, actually probably even more times than that. But AHIP is the main test that you need to do. Now, in order to get to that test, there's a couple things you do need to get through. There's 5 modules. Then the main test. The main test is 50 questions. And oh, by the way, you have to get a 90%. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to pass our insurance license test, it was only a 70%. And most tests that we take are 70, 80%. So there is a high level of accountability with the AHIP. So with the 5 modules, if you're brand new and this is your first year, you have to take all 5 modules, meaning you have to sit through all of the material. They did better this year. Last year, you could not skip any of the slides until it read the slides to you out loud. Even if you had it muted, there was nothing you could do. You had to sit. Some slides took 2 to 3 minutes. This year, they went back to what they did from the years past, in that you can't skip through them all right away. There's a 10-second buffer on each slide. If you're a returning AHIP user, you've taken AHIP last year, you can actually skip 1, 2, and 3, the first 3 modules. You still need to take the 20-question quiz that's attributed to each module. And then you would take 4 and 5, which you have to go through each slide. And then you'd take the 20-question quiz at the end. Here's some tips and some things that I've learned throughout doing this on my own. 1, when you get to the 20-question quiz, answer all the questions, hit submit. It will then give you what you got score-wise. It will tell you all of the answers that you got incorrect and all the ones you got correct. What you'd want to do so that you have that for future reference is you'd right-click on the page. Now, if you're using an Apple, I don't know what that is because I don't use Apple, but you'd want to go to the print. And instead of having your printer selected, right, this is my printer, you'd go to Save as PDF. And you'd click Save, and you'd name this AHIP Module 1, and then, maybe the year, and then what the score you got, or whatever the case is. That's kind of how I have mine set up. And you do this for each quiz. So you should have 5 20-question quizzes. And then what will happen is you could take those quizzes, and if you have Adobe, you could compile them together if you want, if you're fancy. If not, you can use those questions on the test. So, a lot of those questions have Mrs. Wu, Mr. Wu, Mrs. Patel. They have a lot of those unique names, and you can actually just hit Control F and search for those names, right? I'm doing it in Chrome, but it's the same concept if you have it saved in Adobe. If you don't do it this way, I see what a lot of people do is they take screenshots of the questions. That's fine. You could still use them, but you cannot search for those answers. So you got to be careful because then you can't search for the name, and it's going to take you more time by far. Other thing that I see a lot of people doing, and it's the world we live in now. Everyone uses ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini to answer the questions. That's all fine and dandy. I see it all the time. You're going to probably pass, but I will tell you I see people fail all the time using AI. So you do have to be careful because AI is going to kind of tell you what it knows and what you want to hear. It might not get the question correct. Am I saying that it's not going to do it 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10? I don't know. I've never used it for my AHIP just because a lot of these questions have been the same. I will say the way that the system is set up, the first 40 questions that you do will always be directly from the quizzes every single time. There's no difference. But the last 10 questions are where it gets a little dicey. On my test, the last 5 questions of my test were questions that were from prior AHIPs or were brand new questions that I've never seen before. And I see a lot of these. So, keep that in mind when you're doing this. The last 10 is really where a lot of people fail. So just be careful using AI. Do I have any questions about AHIP? I took mine this year. I will say I didn't see them do anything out of the realm or anything not normal. So, I don't think it's anything you necessarily need to worry about. Seeing someone raise their hand. If you want to pop in an answer or a question in the chat there, Scott, I can get it. I can get to you as soon as you write it out. Like I said, I've never taken a NABIP, so I can't answer really any questions on that. I probably got to, just do it just to mess around with it because I'm not sure if there's anybody else that utilizes them a lot. Question, do you have those PDFs and can you share with us? Unfortunately, Ekta, I cannot share those. that technically I don't want to say it's considered cheating, but it's something that is frowned upon. And I don't want to get myself or you in trouble. I will tell you this though. I'm our certification specialist. If you are struggling, maybe you failed once or twice, you can give me a call and, maybe I can try to help you with some of those, trickier things. Yes, Scott, if you fail, you actually have 3 tries to pass the test. So that 50 question test, I see a lot of people they get an 88 and they're like, come on, man, I got an 88, So you can go in and you can take it up to 3 times. If you fail twice, please reach out to me. Don't put yourself in a situation where it can get dicey. I don't want to see you have to, because a lot of times you're going to have to repay and then take the thing all over again. And in the past, some carriers, I believe Humana was one of them. If you failed AHIP totally the first 3 times, they actually wouldn't let you certify for that year. I don't think they do that anymore. Don't quote me. But yeah, I'd much rather see you get through on that 3rd try. So if you get to the 3rd try and you're struggling, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to try to guide you in the right direction. I don't give answers, but I can guide you in the right direction. And I'll make sure to put my email address here for you in the chat. So if you want to set up an appointment with me, I'd be happy to help. So that's AHIP in a nutshell. And also at the end, when you get to the test and you're done answering all the questions, don't hit submit. You can actually save your test so that you have it for next year by doing the same thing that I discussed with you guys already. And that's the right click, print, save as PDF. You can do that for the test as well, but you have to do it before you hit submit, because ironically enough, they don't tell you what you got right and what you got wrong on the test. They only tell you, how many you got right and if you passed. And then keep in mind, fraud, waste, and abuse, which is a requirement of our license to sell Medicare. They packaged that in about 4 years ago to AHIP. So when you're done the AHIP test, you then have 3 modules of fraud, waste, and abuse that you need to do in order to get your certificate for AHIP. And they're fairly straightforward. There's no time frame. You can skip right through the things and get to the quizzes. I think are 9 or 10 questions, and they're the same exact questions that they've been since 2020 or before. They're pretty straightforward questions. So it's not a 50 question test. There's 3 modules. The first 2 are there, and the 3rd one opens up when you finish the other 2. All right, let me see if there's any other questions here. This is a contracting question. I don't know for sure, Scott, about how it is with credit, but the carriers can get very picky with your credit if you have. I don't know about collections, but if you have a bankruptcy, you have to explain that bankruptcy in order to get through for all the carriers. I don't know how they are with defaulting or anything, and that at the end of the day is going to be definitely subject to each carrier. They're all a little bit different with what they look at. So let's bring this back up, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some of these. So Aetna, as I said in the past, or when we first started, Aetna is one of the ones you can do without AHIP if you like. And just to reiterate, when you're done your AHIP and you have your certificate, at the bottom, let me see if I can show you this. It's not gonna let me here. At the bottom of your AHIP here, hold on, let me do this. I'm going to because I have to just go through and agree for these. Oh, no, I have it updated. Okay. All right. Well, sorry about that. That did not load up like I wanted it to. So, when you get done your certification and you're back at your main screen, at the bottom will be, if you whatever carriers you're contracted with, it'll say transmit. You want to make sure you click transmit because that will transmit your AHIP data to that carrier. Now, do not transfer that data if the carrier is not open yet. Like I wouldn't, if you carry Clover and you're done your AHIP, I wouldn't hit transmit to Clover because they're probably going to make you do it again. I would wait until at least the certification is live. Now, Aetna, pretty much the same exact thing as it was last year. I noticed no difference doing the Aetna certifications. Clover's not out yet. Devoted, pretty much the same exact thing as it was in prior years. Nothing crazy with that. Elevance did that yesterday. Same exact thing as it was before. There's no difference. Florida Blue is great. Florida Blue actually really buttoned up theirs. Basically, you just download their product guide instead of going through an entire product training. And then you just do some attestations. It's just as easy as Humana now, which is really good. It's probably why there's an unlimited number of attempts. Freedom Optimum is attached to Elevance. So although it's came out today, if you do Elevance, then Freedom and Optimum are covered. HCSC isn't out yet. HealthSpring launched today. I have not done that yet, so I don't know, but according to a lot of the people, it's very similar to what it's been in the past. I mean, they haven't changed theirs in a couple years now. Humana is great. It's not out yet, but it's my favorite one because it's just an attestation. You go through some modules and you get to the attestation, which is a beautiful thing. Kaiser's not out yet. Molina is a little over a week. United Healthcare. Now, United Healthcare has been out for really since the beginning of June. They haven't changed. I will say it's a little difficult to find what you need to find. When you get into their training modules, you do want to make sure that you search for the option that makes the most sense for you. They have an option for NABIP, an option for AHIP, and then just the option if you don't take either of those, just their standard. For them, if you don't do that, then you have to take their Medicare 101, which is about a 25-question quiz. I do like United Healthcare in that what they let you do is you basically download their producer guide, and then it's just quizzes. You'll have a quiz for Medicare Advantage and PDP and supplement. You'll have one for SNP, chronic and special needs. You'll have one for ethics and compliance, and then you'll have one for AARP. Now, the SNP one you don't need to do if you don't sell SNP plans. That is optional. Then there's also it's not a quiz, it's just a module for events. If you're someone that does, Walmarts and events and different things like that. Let me see what I got here. So John had a question. Is Care Partners dropping out? Yes. From what I gathered, and, remember I'm outside of the sales purview, but what I heard was Care Partners is not having certifications and they're exiting the market. So if you use Care Partners, you do have to unfortunately work that out. But I hear Devoted is going into a lot of those markets, especially, in the Connecticut area. So how many hours do we get to take AHIP? So, Scott, you do not get any CE hours unless you pay for them. So I believe it's 6 credit hours if you if you pay, I want to say it's $29.99 or something, or 35. It's one of those for 6 credit hours, and then you automatically get those applied. How many carriers can you get by with if you only sell in Florida? I mean, Scott, that might be a question for your kind of sales connect here, but rule of thumb for me as an agent, I like to have 3 or 4 of the top carriers, just because you never really know. You know, you might be plugging in your drugs, your doctors, your networks, and you know, you want to do what's right for your clients. So I would just make sure that you know, whatever you do, you're doing it to make sure that you're helping that person. So might not always be that, you know, it's a top carrier in the market. So the test is timed, Scott. For AHIP, it's 2 hours. You have 2 hours to do it, so it's not one of those things you can save and come back to. So yeah, back to United. I talked about that. WellCare is not out yet, and then Zing. I did do Zing. Zing was fairly straightforward. Nothing crazy with Zing. So this is a list of really the major ones that are out right now. We're going to get more and more as we go. Let me just look at my notes and make sure I didn't miss any. So alignment, we hear, is going to be the end of July, beginning of August, but we do not have a date for that yet. Capital Blue Cross seems like it's going to be in August of some time. We don't have a specific date for that yet. Essence, we're hearing, is going to be sometime in July. Eternal, sometime in July. Gold Kidney, sometime in July. Health First should be sometime early August. Highmark should be the end of July. If you sell Horizon/Braven, we're hearing mid-August. Jefferson, we're hearing sometime in July. Scan should be sometime in July. Solus actually came out as well. That came out about a week ago. So if you sell Solus, that is out. I did not see what the certifications look like yet for that. Ultimate should be sometime in August. And that's really kind of the only date ranges that we've gotten. I haven't seen anything else. These are the concrete dates that we have, as well as the recertification deadline for your renewals. So keep that in mind as we're going through this. I see Kaiser on the list. Do they let us agents to get certified? Yeah, Kaiser is just not out yet until August 4th, Beth. So, I think a lot of these carriers are closing their certifications for 26 until they do it. What percentage of people don't, or what percentage of people pass and fail AHIP? You know, Scott, I don't know. I see some people get 100 every year and they never struggle. And then I do see some people that get hit hard and they fail often. So I'd say it's really comes down to those last 10 questions, which hurts someone that might be newer, that maybe has never taken an AHIP before. They wouldn't have those last couple questions in their bank from prior years. Yeah, I didn't. Actually, I did not move screens. I kept it here. I figured people would want to take a screenshot of this. So outside of that, guys, that's really all I wanted to go over. I wanted to go over when things were due, my experience with some of the carriers, some do's and don'ts for AHIP, which I think is pretty important. United Healthcare, you just want to make sure you select the right path. That's the thing that I see most commonly. Make sure you're selecting the correct path, whether that's AHIP, NABIP, or you're doing the Medicare 101 side of things. Do I have any other questions from the team here? Let's see what we got. Can I share how to use the PFS website for quotes? What quote are you looking for, Ekta? Are you looking for Medicare supplement, Medicare Advantage, life insurance? Our website. If you're in your dashboard, there's a quick links area. You could just click quoting, and then you would pick what you want to quote. If we're looking at Medicare, we have a couple different quoting solutions. There's Connect for Insurance, and Connect for Insurance uses either Connecture or Sunfire. And then for Medicare supplements, I highly recommend using CSG Medicare. This just gives you the most accurate and most information for Medicare supplements. And you get access to all of this for working with us. Scott, that their attempts does not coincide with AHIP. So, if we look at this picture again, if it says 6 attempts, that's just 6 attempts for their certification. That's not counting AHIP. AHIP is only 3. No problem, Ekta. Yeah. And, for quoting, Ekta, if you have questions or concerns, you can always reach out to the sales team here too, and they could do a full walkthrough for you and show you how to do that. Awesome, guys. Well, look, this was great. Thank you so much for the interaction. If you have any questions, you have my email address. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Pop me an email. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. And no problem, Beth. Anytime. I like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. I know these carriers and AHIP like the back of my hand. So if you have questions, do not hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to help. For everyone else, have a great rest of your afternoon. And if we don't talk to you, happy 250th Go USA. Have a great day, guys. Anytime. I like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. I know these carriers and